Hello everyone and welcome to the Redmen TV. This is the Uncensored Match Build Up ahead of the Merseyside Derby. Liverpool versus Everton, Saturday 12:30 at Anfield, Amsterdam. Delighted to be joined by Luke and Abi to for this one. You have a chat about the first derby of the season. Guys, thank you very, very much for coming in. We'll get to you in a second. Before we do so, we need to let these wonderful people know about our oosh.co.uk sponsorship. We are our good partners at Oosh, their latest competition. There's a link in the description below. If you want to get yourselves involved and potentially win a Range Rover Sport for the 99p, I mean, yeah, fair enough. You could do, you won't be late if you're the Range Sport. Then get yourselves involved. Click the link in the description below. Go and enter your competition, and one of you will win that. And by the way, they're also giving away 30 grand in instant win prize as well. So just by buying a ticket, you might win yourself some dough. So if you're interested and want a new Range Rover 99p, if you use the code Redmen when you buy a ticket, you'll get 20% off as well. So you're looking at like, I mean, I'm not even doing the maths on that. 70p-ish. Get yourselves involved. Thanks to Oosh for sponsoring us throughout the course of the season. Right then, ladies and gents, or lady and gents, I should say. Everton, Luke, I'll start with you. Let's have a look at them first. Bar actually the opening day of the season against Leeds, where that was a disappointing result. I think if you'd have offered Everton the what they've had since then, they'd have probably bit your hand off. You know, they are now 6th in the table, 2 wins and a draw. Obviously, the draw comes at home to Villa, which, although Everton should have won, I think if you offered Everton a draw against Villa, they'd probably take it anyway. So they're doing all right. You know, they usually start slow and then have to really recover towards the end of the season just to keep themselves in the Premier League. This year, it's gone a bit differently for Everton. They look a better team.
Yeah, Everton are back, aren't they? Everton are back. So Everton have the Everton that I grew up with. Very Moyes, and they've got really good players. I thought they've recruited quite well. Yep. Barry's an interesting one because he doesn't really fancy him, doesn't he? So he's brought him in. I think he paid about somewhere in the region of 25 million for him. Big 6'5" forward, and he's not playing. He fancies Beto instead, which is a bit strange. But yeah, they've recruited well, and they remind me of the Everton of when I was young. They've sort of got quite a few tricky players who on the day kind of hit you. You know, when I think back to Everton, and especially growing up, I think back to the likes of like Pienaar, Jelavic, Morales. They were all right footballers, not going to pull up a tree for you. But on the day, if you're not switched on, they can hurt you, and that's very much how they've seen with the likes of Njai and Grealish and Dewsbury Hall, who I didn't think he was going to be all that, but he's sort of playing in sort of like an 8 roaming into a 10 going forward, and he looks all right, to be fair to him. So yeah, I think they're dangerous, and it's a derby that could have a little bit of jeopardy in it. So it's interesting. It's one of the most. It's the most I've been excited for the derby in a very long time. A very, very long time.
Excited?
They're always nerve/excite. Luke's right though. What Everton have done maybe is just. I think Moyes always been a good manager. This idea that he's not, I think, it's nonsense. He had a bad time at United, but other than that, he's a good manager. He's at Sean Dyche's Everton were what they were. You know, they didn't want to lose, and if they nicked a goal off a set piece or something, sound. Under Moyes, he has brought in, you know, Grealish in particular, and Ndiaye on the other side, who he's starting to get a lot of tune out of as well. And they do try and get bodies into the box. You know, if you look at the goals they've scored recently, or even the chances they missed against Villa where they should have won, they are getting men wide, balls into the box, and players in there as well. So this is an Everton side who are looking not to lose. They've been an Everton side looking to win games.
Yeah, if I was an Everton fan right now, I think I'd be feeling not confident, but I think I'd have a glimmer of hope, to be honest, going into this fixture. It's been a long time since they've felt this cohesive and like an actual team. You know, there's times when you watch Everton and, you know, other teams are huddling and stuff like that, and they're not doing it. They just look like separate groups, or just people that don't really want to associate with each other at times. The players don't seem to just click whatsoever. But now Moisey's back, they've got the new stadium, things just seem to be flowing a little bit better for them, and the vibes as an Everton fan must be feeling quite positive at the minute. And if you're going to be going into the derby, the only thing that'd be probably putting them off is the fact that we can get a late winner no matter how late it is. It's not over till it's over with us. So I'm dreading it. I'm not excited. I've just got this feeling that like they're going to be going in there feeling confident, and, you know, Grealish obviously is the big main man and they're all talking about him, and I'm not happy for Grealish, but he was one of those players where you knew he had talent and you wanted him to go somewhere and end up, you know, showing that he's still got that quality there about him. Do you know what I mean? But I didn't want that to happen at Everton, but it has, and I don't want him to prove that in front of Anfield, in front of me. But I don't know, I'm still feeling positive because we've managed to get that Atletico winner right at the end, and obviously we've done it 5 times now, but there's just something about Everton where it does feel as though like they're going to be going into this feeling not as uncomfortable as usual. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're in good spirits, aren't they? What I would notice, actually, it's a bit of a change, Luke, on them, is I know you look at the clean sheets records and it's actually quite good, but that's been at home, away from home. They concede a lot of shots. You know, Leeds and Wolves aren't the two best teams. Like, you're going to face probably two of the worst teams you're going to go on the road to. And actually, I think Jared Branthwaite being out has been a massive part, and David Moyes was very coy on that today in terms of whether he's going to be back or not. He wasn't giving much away. They've had issue at full-back as well. They've had to use... they've got no left-backs. Michalenko's been out. They've had injuries, so it's been... Garner's been playing left-back. They have been, in both away games, you know, Wolves and Leeds have had plenty of opportunities. You know, Wolves scored 2. Leeds scored 1 and probably could have scored 5. That is something that, again, that's a little bit different. I don't know if it's a balance of things with Moyes trying to figure out where they're at, but away from home, it looks like he can get at them, and Liverpool have got a team that can get at them. Yeah, that's what you'd hope, isn't it? The record at Anfield's shocking, isn't it? Let's be honest. If we look at it on paper of what it is, their previous record at Anfield's absolutely awful. So you'd hope, and even though they are in high spirits, and you know, they're up in 7th in the table. That's probably the highest they've been. Six. That's probably the highest. Them at the service. I know, that's probably the highest they've been in years. That I know it's only the start of the season, but still, I remember when they were top in like COVID. Remember they were top like after like 3 games. Rafa had them top for a while as well. Yeah. So it's probably since then. That's probably the highest they've been. If necessarily Everton fans want to correct us in the chat, but yeah, that's one of them. Let's see what happens. Our record at home is boss. And we know that. I think we're approaching about 30 games in a row at home since Paris. Roughly, it'd be creeping up to that now with the cup games involved, sort of undefeated. But yeah, I just think, I don't know, it's just Everton for you. Like, it's for them to be in boss form and then turn up and crumble, and the stats are proving that. Like you're saying, they were poor at Leeds, they got beat 1-0, they were really bad. Obviously, Grealish didn't start that game, and he has sort of been there shining light for them. You would imagine that they're going to have to pull up some trees to get a win at Anfield, but I want to live in a little bit of jeopardy. I want to enjoy it a bit and be like sort of like back in, you know, when Everton were good and you were finishing at the table. Like,
do you not had enough jeopardy this season so far already? Are you
not with Everton, there's just something about the derby, like, you're all just sitting around like the night before in the house, and like, for example, half of my family are Blues, like, who live across the road. And especially, I remember the Wembley semi-final, and like we were all proper giving it all day, like, because they proper thought like we've got a chance to win in here, and then we turned up, we were pretty rubbish, but we ended up winning, and Carlo gets the header. Like, that's what I want. Like, that's what the derby's meant to be. So I'll take a bit of hope. I love it.
I'll take a late winner now.
Yeah, I'll take beating them 7-0 as well if we have to. But I want to go back to Grealish because you both brought him up in different phases. I'll start with you on this one, Abi. What he is, Everton are allowing him to be Jack Grealish again. He doesn't have to worry about defends really, or, you know, and he will do that, by the way. He'll get back because he's a very wholehearted footballer. They're allowing him to be the maverick. You know, he doesn't have to fit into Pep's system. And listen, Pep's system helped him win a treble, so but he's just a different type of footballer, and he has definitely had an impact on the team, not only in terms of just the assists. You know, he was the Premier League Player of the Month for August, and also just the vibes of the fan base. When you've got someone who can get you out your seat, and someone who, you know, anytime he gets the ball, something could happen, it does improve the mood. He has been a very good signing for them so far. Yeah,
I think it's boosted morale massively. I think it's been a long time since Everton have had a player that's their key man. You know, like we've had Mo and, you know, other players like that, where it's like that's the player that can make a difference in a game, no matter what's going on in that game. You know, that Jack Grealish could probably pull them out of it. He is quality enough to do so, and yeah, it does feel as though he's been unleashed, doesn't it? It feels as though he's sort of got belief back in himself as well, which I think is quite important, unfortunately, because it just knocks me sick, because I was sort of hoping that he'd go there and it just wouldn't go that well, and, you know, he can pick up injuries and things like that. I was thinking maybe that had happened, but no, I've put him in my fantasy footy, if that tells you how it's going for Grealish. I might bench him against us, but he's a really good quality player, and I think, like you've said, it boosts the vibes and all that around Everton, and yeah, just hopefully he can't do it against us. But if any of them are going to score, it's not going to be Beto or whatever it is. Jai's a good player.
I want to speak about Beto, actually, because if he had a shooting boot on against Aston Villa, Everton would have won that game. He was rubbish, like absolutely rubbish, Luke. But in both games last season, he actually done a number on Liverpool a couple of times. He's the only guy for a long time who I thought would give him Virgil van Dijk massive issues. The last one was actually
he got that offside goal.
Very close. Yeah. He has a one-on-one that Kelleher saved that he really should have scored.
Does he not hit the post as well? No, or am I believing in a different way?
No, yeah, that's the one. Maybe he is the post rather. He has he scores obviously in the game at Goodison with the little set piece. Like he has been crap for them this season. I think most Everton fans, or speaking to the Toffee lads, they would agree. But you know, if sometimes players just play against certain opposition and get up for it or whatever, and actually Beto, I know Abi said there he has struggled this season, but yeah, there was something about his game that gave Virgil and Ibu a little bit of problems last year, in both games actually.
Yeah, well, it was sort of like the long ball, wasn't it? And I think we were struggling really against him 50-50, which you don't see a lot of the time, do you? Yeah, and then I think a lot of the time, Canate was sort of like, thinking back to that game, sort of Canate weren't sure if he's marking him or Virgil was marking him, and I think one of them, they just got a bit confused, didn't they, by the looks of it, and it sort of goes over the top of them, like trying to think back to it. But yeah, he can definitely cause us some issues. And when they bought Barry in the summer, I really thought he was going to be their main man.
Yeah, and he probably will be at some point.
Yeah, because he's only 22. He got 11 goals last season, but I don't think he's looked too convincing. And obviously, Moyes must think the same. But I think if they could get a system where, like, if they were in like a 4-4-2 with both of them up front, like playing the long ball, that would be really threatening. So it's whether Moyes is going to come out and play, or if he's going to sit back and try and go on the break. Because if they've got two big target men there who, like they've seen last season, can cause issues. And it's literally like if he even wants to play one up front and he can go like for like and just swap them out after 60 minutes, you're going to have somebody else coming on there who's going to be fresh and cause an upset. But I did just want to pull it back to Grealish quick, because I found a little Grealish stat earlier, and it's Grealish has the most goal involvements. So Grealish had more Premier League goal involvements versus Liverpool than any other side. So he basically loves playing Liverpool. And I can't even think about when he's done a job on us, to be honest.
Oh yeah, he gets involved. He's a very good player. The question we've got here, actually, I don't know if your name is SKD or Skid. I'm going to go with Skid because it's funnier. Says, will this be similar to Burnley where they just park the bus? And it's interesting because if you look at Everton's team, it's actually quite well balanced because, for example, Jake O'Brien at right back is a defensive. He's a centre half playing right back. He's not bombing forward. You know what I mean? Really doing too much. But James Garner is a technical midfielder playing left back at the moment. They've got Dewsbury Hall, Beto, Grealish and Dye. They're four very forward-thinking players. It's Gay and Iribunum who don't. So they don't seem to have the players to come and park a bus. I don't think that's their game. They might go deep and counter-attack, and they've definitely got players with like Grealish and Dye who can carry a ball, and they've got Beto who can hit it up to. But I don't see this being an Everton side who comes and sits in on the 18-yard box. I don't think they've got their team isn't built that way anymore.
I don't think they can. I don't think like you've just said, I don't think they've got the capability to do that. I was thinking to myself, is it going to be one of those games like we've had with Everton before, where they just time waste but you know, Pickford can't really do that now, can he, with the rule? So hopefully we won't have to see Alisson copying him down the other end. But it does feel as though, to me, normally going into the derby, I'm normally like, yeah, they're going to park the bus, you know, they'll try and get a draw, and you know, they'll try and kill time. But it doesn't feel that way when they've got those players. It feels like players like Ndai and Grealish and obviously Beto.
You'd want them parking the bus, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, you would.
Yeah, well, yeah. But you're going to want they're going to want to push forward. Yeah. They're going to want to create as much as they can. They're going to want to show what they're made of. And, you know, it's a newfound Everton. And I just don't think that's going to be the way Moyes will go into this. Maybe he will. But I can't see with those players that it's going to be like that. Like we've said, Branthwaite's out. Players like that would be good. But it doesn't look that way for me. They're too attacking. I think they're going to come out guns blazing, try and be as attacking as possible, try and get the early goal, try and, like, you know, upset us early on as possible. I can't see it being that situation again. They just feel too different now.
Yeah, I think I'm somewhat opposite me. You know, I think they will sit on the 18 for as much as they can, because I think they could have took a little bit of hope from that Burnley Atletico game and sort of thinking, right, we can keep them up for a bit here. And then when they go
to more than Burnley.
Yeah, when they go on the break, I think recently when we play them, when they go on the break, they don't really go. You know, there's always a bit like, oh, well, I'll just stay and I'll sit in. I think when they go on the break, they're going to go, and you'll see 5 of them committing forwards and then trying to get something there. And I think that's the way he will play.
Yeah, I agree. It's more Atletico than Burnley, for sure. The one thing they have had, actually, Abi, centre halves, obviously, Branthwaite, I don't know if he's going to play. When he hasn't played for a while, again, Moyes today was very coy on. He said, we'll see. So, yeah, let's see, we'll see. Tarkowski and Keane, it hasn't been brilliant for them so far, I don't think. You know, Tarkowski has looked a little bit ropey at times for them this year. Again, I don't think any Everton fan particularly enjoys watching too much of Michael Keane, and he's always like enemy number one for them. So usually when we played Everton, and again, it's different because a lot of this was Sean Dyson and one version of David Moyes last year. They've been really strong at centre half, and you know, Branthwaite in particular has had some really good games against Liverpool. It does feel like, again, we'll speak about Liverpool's team in later on, and who's going to play up front and stuff, but it feels like Everton's centre-backs maybe just dipped a little bit below the levels that they were at in previous times we've played them.
Yeah, 100%. It does feel like that. It's funny because Tarkowski's one of those players that all the Everton fans seem to absolutely adore, and he's normally really solid. Not to go back to fantasy footy, but I did have him in for a little while, but I'm taking him out now. He is just one of those players that you just feel like he's solid, he puts in a good performance, but like you've said, he's had the shaky start. Keane's not loved by them at all at the minute, and I can see that, but like we've said, we're going to come on to our team, but if you have the likes of Isak or Ekatike, trying to get in there, it does feel as though that's somewhere where we'll have some hope. Absolutely. To be honest.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Josh here with the super chat. We're going to go to a break in a moment, by the way, and afterwards we'll be speaking about Liverpool's team. But as a little teaser for that, Josh Owen with the super chat says Salah to score a 95th minute winner and get a yellow for taking his shirt off. That's if Mo gets booked, that tends to be how it does happen. Josh also said, I've got an update from your watch along today. I passed my driving test with 2 manners. Well done, Josh. Yeah, Josh was telling us on the game the other day that he had his driving test, and yeah, good luck, mate. We told you to pass it. We told you. Me and Elle were giving him advice. Drive more like me than Edel was basically the advice, and it appeared that Josh did that, so well done, my friend. Yes, everyone stick around. We're going to have a quick break. You're going to hear from Dan Clubb. Afterwards, we'll be speaking about Liverpool's team news, selection issues, who would we start, who would Arne Slot start, and all that good stuff. So yeah, see you in about 48 seconds.
Hey everyone, it is a new month, which means only one thing. It's time for a new Legend giveaway here at the Redmen TV. If you are already an existing Legend subscriber, you're already in the hat, but if not, what are you waiting for? Get yourself subscribed now as a Legend and you will be in with a chance of winning this stunning piece of memorabilia. That's right, an iconic vintage Liverpool shirt signed by former Reds captain, legendary Phil Thompson. Not only was he playing career boss, he went on to have a pretty significant coaching career at the football club as well. So proper Liverpool legend status right there. You will get loads of amazing perks as a Legend subscriber, as well as a chance of winning that beautiful piece of kit alongside me. Get yourself there now. Get it done. redmenplus.com. Legend subscriber. See you soon.
Welcome back. Yeah, get involved in our Redmen and Legends competition. Win yourself a signed Phil Thompson t-shirt, well, Liverpool shirt rather, which is a wonderful prize. Right then, guys, full disclosure, we are filming this it's now 10:43 a.m. at this specific conversation. Usually, Arne Slot's done his press conference by now. For some reason, maybe he just wanted to lie in. It is until dinner time, so I can only apologise on that one when we schedule the show. We're going to have to go with what we know. So, team news-wise, then we don't have any updates from the game. I don't think there was anything in midweek that made you wouldn't think anyone was injured. The only talking point may be whether Curtis is back available in the squad, but even if so, I don't think he would go straight into the 11 anyway. So, I think we're okay, but yeah, just in case we've missed something, apologies in advance. There's decisions to be made, Abs, it's fair to say. Some players have come in and put their hands up. Maybe some players who were playing maybe weren't completely at the level. The only ones I think are nailed on to start this game, and at any point feel free to disagree with me: Alisson, Van Dijk, Konate, Gravenberch, Salah, Gakpo. And even that last one might be a little bit iffy, but there's no real other opportunity. We think them 6 are in.
I think Wirtz and Szoboszlai.
I think Wirtz. Sorry, Wirtz. Wirtz is, almost Szoboszlai is definitely one we're going to speak about. Wirtz, I should have mentioned Wirtz, right? That's 7. So we're looking at 2 full-back positions, a midfield position, and who plays centre forward are probably the biggest discussion points. You're right to mention Wirtz, I should have said that. Let's start full-backs then. I'll start with you, Abi. Left back first, let's talk. Obviously, Kirkes goes off against Burnley. Robbo comes on, does well. Robbo has a pretty good game against Madrid, although to be fair, they did get in a lot as well down that side. I don't think he covers himself in glory for their first goal. But overall, he had a pretty good game, Andy Robertson. My initial guess is Kirkes comes back in for the pace, and up against Ndai, maybe he wants that, but there's an equal argument to make that you go Robertson for the experience. So where would you go first, and where do you think Arne's going to go?
I don't know. It is a difficult one. Like you've said, Kirkes for the pace and stuff like that, but it just feels like he's a bit rash at the minute, and he's easy to throw himself on the floor, things like that. I know Josh Williams is always saying about how Kirkes can't stay on his feet. I think stuff like that might be detrimental to us in the derby. I don't know. Robertson had such a good performance, but just at his age and, he slowed down his pace, it doesn't feel as though he could go again for like 90 or whatever. I think you maybe give Robertson 60 and then bring Kerkez on, but it feels unfair on Kerkez. But he is still young. I think I forget in my mind, Kerkez is still a really young lad that's still trying to get his place in the team. I think because there was all the conversations around like Tsimikas and Robertson, which one were we going to sell, you know, all that sort of stuff, that I started to just believe Kerkez was just going to play every single game, and that's not the way it's going to go when you have performances like he has had. At times it hasn't been too strong for me. It's maybe Robertson. I think Robbo, but then I just don't think he can do too long against his pace and his, you know, his age and stuff like that. But I think you want Robertson in the derby. He can be aggressive. I'd normally say no, because Robertson could have a head loss. You know, at times he can have a head loss in the derby. You know, I can still remember him laughing in Pickford's face and stuff like that. That's good. That is good, and that's what you want in the derby. And I think if we don't have a player like Curtis Jones, who I would normally want in a derby, I know I probably wouldn't pick him now, but and I know he might be injured, but you want that sort of aggressive player that might wind them up a little bit. So I think it's Robertson for me, and then bring Kerkez on around 60. I think, but I feel a bit sly on Kerkez saying that.
Some of the chat before I'll just maybe tip. So Callum will go Kerkez. Adam says Robertson should start with Kerkez coming on around the hour mark. That's what Abi said. Adam says it's Steve says I would feel more comfortable with Robbo there lately. But then Tony makes a good point actually, and can Robbo play 2 games so close? Luke, and it's not actually 2 games, it's 3 games.
Yeah.
He played the majority of that Burnley game, which was Sunday. All the game, well, pretty much everything, 85, 86 minutes on Wednesday, and then Saturday. So Chris gets a call on when I say it's 3 games in a week, because he doesn't believe in it. But actually that is Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday is 3 games in a week. Has he got it in them anymore? I don't know. I'm edging towards Kerkez if it was me.
I'm probably over to Kerkez as well, but what would be interesting is just to know, like, obviously he gets hooked, doesn't he, against Burnley on Sunday, and it's likely, it is just tactical because he's on the yellow card. There's so much of the game to play, like, it's just a sending off waiting to happen, especially when he can't stay on his feet, and he's been a bit rash of late. But in, like, terms of player profile, Ilman Njai, Noddy Madueke, you know, cutting in quite tricky wingers, he did a good job of tying up Madueke against Arsenal, so you'd fancy him to come back in. But is it not starting against Atletico like a tactical approach and rotating minutes, which we don't often see Slot do? Or is that Slot saying, like, listen, lad, you need a few weeks out here, you have been a bit rash of late, Robbo's going to come in and he's going to play the next couple of games? That's where you've sort of got to find out the balance. If I'm honest, I think it was maybe more of minutes rotation, because we sort of lent and said we expect Slot to do a little bit more of that in terms of resting players. And
he did that at left back. That's actually one of the places he did rotate last year. Luke, Costas and Robertson would constantly rotate. It was one of the few areas of the pitch he did rotate.
Well, we were talking about those when last season, sort of saying we don't know who the number 1 is, and there was that argument. It's whether I don't think he wants to play that game again all season. He wants your number 1, your number 2. This is probably the game where you show that now. Yeah. Everton at home, if you put Robbo in, we can expect Robbo to play a bit more now for the next couple of weeks, and still Kerkez is embedded, because then you'd expect Kerkez to put 90 in against Southampton. So I think this is sort of the selection now where we'll see it. I do think he'll stick by Kerkez, because I think I know he's been massive late, but he needs just to have that run in the side. And you know, we're 4-5 games down the line and we're still in the same conversation. That's why where we might look at like changing it long term and say, all right, put Robbo in.
It makes sense. Let's talk about right back. I'll start with this one. Anfield Exchange, thank you for the super chat. Says it's Kerkez and Bradley for me. He says I'd also want to see more of the Isak Wirtz link up. We'll get to the forwards in a moment, my friend. Right back is interesting because this actually isn't a 2-horse race, Abby. It's 3, because it's Bradley, it's Frimpong, and it's Dominic Szoboszlai. Can easily go there if the manager wants to get Alexis in midfield and keep Szoboszlai on the pitch, because I feel like he probably wants Szoboszlai on the pitch. So let's answer that question first, then, and then we can work backwards. We all agree Szoboszlai's going to play.
Will be on the pitch.
Because he's been unbelievable.
Szoboszlai's going to be in the midfield.
But where's he going to play?
He'll be in the midfield for me. If it was up to me, I want to see as much of Jeremy Frimpong as possible at right back. I absolutely love him. He's becoming one of my favourite players already. He's just so exciting going forward. And there was all those conversations around he can't defend. I thought he defended really well the other day.
He's defended better than Conor Bradley
He's defended better than Bradley. Bradley's looked a little bit shaky. But I think in terms of like what we've seen over less than just recent times, but with Conor Bradley, he's a good defensive player, but he hasn't showed that recently. And I know there's been injuries and stuff like that, but for me, Jeremy Frimpong's there, and I'm just absolutely loving seeing him down that right wing, you know, pressing forward. I think he can really create. I think he'd be a good one to have there, and he's more solid than Bradley at the minute, and I feel sly saying that. about Bradley, but that's just the way it is at the minute.
Would you be really excited though for like a Bradley Grealish matchup on that right hand side?
Massive tackle in like
it'd be a great matchup, wouldn't it?
It would. I think I would go Frimpong too, and I think the pace is part as well. If we think Everton are going to be a counter-attacking team, which they probably are going to be, his recovery pace is a joke.
Yeah.
Like I saw the other day a couple of times against Atletico Madrid, and what he was really clever at, Luke, was he didn't go to the ball, he went with the man. So sometimes there'd be a bouncing ball and he'd rather just track his runner back, and he'll let someone else deal with that. So I agree. By the way, I would put Szoboszlai in midfield. I would leave McAllister on the bench for this one. I don't think he's quite at it yet, and again, fitness related. So what are you doing at right back? We've got 2 votes for Frimpong with Sobo in midfield.
No, I'm probably with Frimpong as well, especially
with Sobo in midfield. Sorry, just to
with Sobo in midfield. Probably with just like I said, I'd love to see that Bradley sort of Grealish matchup on that side of the pitch. But Frimpong just seems like the more obvious approach and the more tactical approach, just to go. And
by the way, Bradley will come on.
Yeah,
so
I think it's sort of because like Frimpong, with him coming from the 3-4-3, sort of think of him being like this sort of like attacking like wing back, which he is, but he's not scared to put a big challenge in. Like he put a good few in the box as well, by the way, against that.
Good in the air as well, isn't he, for a little fella?
That's what I was going to say. He was winning aerial duels in the size of him.
He's not scared of a challenge. Like he'll do a good job in the derby.
Okay, yeah. So we're all on. Do we think that's what Slot will do? By the way, do we think?
I think so. Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked if he puts Szoboszlai there. It wouldn't be like the biggest.
Really?
I wouldn't. No, I don't think he will. But like,
don't you think when you've got both
I think Szoboszlai is more
fit?
likely to play than Bradley. I think it's. Yeah, I think it would be Frimpong or Szoboszlai, because he might just want all his best players on the pitch, and that includes probably McAllister. But we've all picked our midfield then. Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Wirtz. It's interesting, isn't it, Abi? Because sticking on Dom, he was the man who was not meant to be in the team. If we're picking best 11s and balance and everything like that, Wirtz come in and was effectively taking Szoboszlai's role in the team. Dom's now, we were having a conversation there where we've all said he's undroppable at this point in time. It just shows how good he's been.
Yeah, I was the same at the start of the season. I was thinking, poor Szoboszlai is going to just not get any game time now. Now we've got Wirtz, and he's just proven why he needs to be in that team. He showed sort of the skill that we've wanted him to show, and I'm not saying he was bad last season, but out of that midfield with McAllister, Gravenberch and Szoboszlai, he was the weaker link for me. It just felt as though he'd do all the running, but he'd take too long sometimes with his decision making, and then he'd be too rash at times last season. And listen, the Premier League winning midfield, so it did feel as though that was what was going to happen. This season, he's like a new man. It's like he's saw it as an opportunity to sort of prove himself and try and improve and make sure he stays into the team. And now we're looking as though McAllister's going to end up having a bit of bench time because he hasn't been at his best, has he? But with Szoboszlai, the fact that he could play there at right back so well, it's unbelievable from him. He's being versatile, and he's been absolutely brilliant.
Been our best player, I think, or one of the best players.
Gravenberch's been our best player.
Gravenberch, Van Dijk, Szoboszlai have all been fantastic. The other option, I didn't think about this one, so fair enough. There's some people in the chat, Stuart, Sai, as well, Fraser all saying the same thing. We just mentioned there about Cody Gakpo maybe not quite being at it. Luke, he has the option to put Florian Wirtz over there. You could play McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai as your midfield 3. We saw him use Florian Wirtz out on the left-hand side against Madrid. The first time we've really seen him go over there. That does become another viable option if he wants to do that, I suppose.
Yeah, and I suppose it's more as well, he has been struggling in that 10. Like, he is struggling with how physical it is. He's great on the ball, he's great at moving it and getting it forward. But in terms of end product and being there and sort of, with the big 50-50 challenges in the middle of the park, he's not winning a lot of them. And it's probably just down to the physicality of the league. It's going to take a while to adjust. But he was also out on the left at Leverkusen quite a lot. And we've seen it for about 10 minutes in there. It's whether he sees that as sort of more of a long-term plan, especially with, like I said, with him struggling in the middle of the park. Cody Gakpo, though, with his height and sort of his presence on the field, I think he's a player you want in this game, especially if Everton are going to look at their balls, just for having his height on the pitch and sort of being in there, because they're not a small team, especially with like Tarko O'Brien as well, who plays fullback quite a lot of the time, even though he's absolutely huge. He's a bit like Dan Burn out there when Newcastle were deploying him out there last season. So I would stick with Gakpo and sort of just hope that you play him into a little bit more form, because when he is on it, he is unplayable, if you ask me. At the start of the season, I thought he did look very, very exciting. It's sort of just recently where he sort of tailed off a little bit. So I would stick out there with Gakpo and just leave it in the 10th for now.
Yeah, I think I can see both as being available options.
I think Cody's underrated this season. I feel
he had, you know what, he had a really good start, and he was pretty average against Burnley, and he wasn't great against Atletico Madrid. So that's probably where it's at. But he feels like the new lightning rod for criticism at the moment. It's Cody and Curtis.
Yeah. People pick one a season, one or two, and they decide that they're the weak link in the team. But I don't think there is really any weak link.
I thought Gakpo started the season very, very well. He's been all right.
He lived in Diaz's shadow for a really long time last season. I feel like he was better at times than Diaz, and he wasn't really getting applauded. So he has started well. Like you've said, he didn't have the best games against Burnley and Atleti, but
Vert is interesting though. I could be persuaded.
There's a shout there though for like...
I could be persuaded by Vert. The only problem with that, Luke, is that, and I think that depends on how Curtis is. Because if you start all four of your midfielders, which is again you can absolutely do, you're looking at your bench going, well, who comes on? And it's Endo or it's Trey. Yeah. You haven't got no other midfielders on, and I think the manager would like that. Because I don't think Alexis is at a point yet where he can do it. Again, there's an option where you do something like right back or whatever with Szoboszlai, but that's the only thing. If you pick all four of them to start, you Curtis would have to be good to go and to
yeah, limit off the bench especially. To be honest, of late, I think you look at the bench and you go, oh God, missing a few players there, aren't we? And I think it is just like I do think we need one more, like just one more lad, you know what I mean? Especially coming in January, sort of have a midfielder going forward, because sometimes I do look at it and think, who've actually got to come on here, and a bit like
now as it stands now, touch wood, it's the full squad, like so it should be.
I think it's just because Curtis has been missing. You look at it and like you said, you know, you sat to like who can we actually swap like for like here, especially if Szoboszlai's on. Yeah,
you're right. Salah plays, so who starts up front is the big question. Because there's a world where Hugo Ekitike starts on the left, but I don't see it right now. He's got the choice of Isak and Ekitike. The thing with Isak, and it made sense the other day, was Liverpool wanted, they needed to give him an hour. They want to get the minutes into his legs. He needed a proper warm-up as well, which I think people sometimes underestimate the importance of. If he's ready to go, maybe you go with him again. I don't know. I think I would go again. And I think I'd give him the hour. If he's got it in his legs, we'll see how he is. But a lot of this will be fitness related. Arne Slot said immediately after the Atleti game, he's not ready. He's not going to be ready for 90 minutes for a while. So it's whether you get the best of him doing 60-30 or the 30-60 split. It's a difficult one, but how would you go about it?
Yeah, he was asked, will he start? And he sort of didn't say no, and he looked quite like, but he won't play a full 90. So in my mind, I think we'll see Isak. When you've got the best striker in the world, in my opinion, I know people will argue for Haaland and stuff like that, but
he's making a good case for himself, to be fair, that fella.
He is making a good case for himself. But for me, it's Alexander Isak, and I think when you've got him there, and it's the Derby, and it's Anfield, and you're trying to embed him into this team and give him that moment that'll sort of kick him on, I feel like this is the game that you want to start him in. And I know I've said I feel sorry for loads of players at the minute, but Ekitike has been strong. He missed a few when he come on the other day and really frustrated me in that Atleti game, but I think it's got to be Alexander Isak. When you've got such a strong player like that, you've got to start him.
A lot of it is based, again, we don't know the medical stuff, Luke, and they've clearly got a plan in place that allows him to do what he can do. But if you can get an hour out of him, I think you've got to probably give him the hour. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yeah, if you can get an hour, like your best striker in the world, you're going to play him, aren't you? But I would like to see Hugo Ekitike play. And it's just because he's been so good so far this season. And when he come on against Atleti, I thought his link-up play was excellent. Like, it was like for like the replacements. It was like Alexander Isak hadn't left the pitch. It was just that end product stuff. So he has them two chances where it's like Shadow and Nunes, where you think, oh, he's burying this. You don't even think twice, and then he puts it over, you go, oh, that's not the Ekitike we've seen the first couple of games. So I would like to see him play. I also think with the Derby, like, I know we're saying Isak's not quite fully fit yet, we're edging him back near it. He's played an hour. Usually they say about 100 minutes, don't they? He's going to be ticking over that. But also, this is one game where he's definitely going to get an absolute kicking.
He got one on Wednesday as well.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So
yeah, but he didn't look tired. He still looked sharp. You know, when he come on, like Slot said himself, he doesn't look as though he's a player that hasn't had a pre-season. He looks good.
It'll be interesting to see what the manager does with that one. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section, live chat. Isak or Ekitike, who would you like to start up front in this one? We'll get some score predictions and that from the guys at the end. Before we do, I just like going, and I always do this on these shows, we're just going to have a quick look around the Premier League at what else is happening this weekend. There's some big games going on, actually, guys. I'm going to go straight to the start. Sorry, that's the table. There's the games here. I'm going to speak mainly about Arsenal versus Manchester City. It's mad. that is such a big game for both teams, Abi. City started the season really poorly. They've come into a bit of form recently. Again, the big fella up front starting to put the ball in the back of the net, which helps. Arsenal have conceded 1 goal all season, and it was an absolute worldy free kick as well. So defensively, they're as good as anything that's around. Really, probably the best defensive team in Europe. That is such a fascinating game. It's weird, really, because I'm guessing you want a draw, obviously, but like a City win might be at this stage is probably better than an Arsenal win. If Liverpool win the derby, it's going to be great to just sit back and watch that unfold. But that feels like a very significant game already so early in the season.
Yeah, I can't make my mind up at what I want because there's always that fear of Man City.
We want a draw, is what we want.
Yeah. A draw's the perfect result at the end of the day, but there is always that fear that Man City are going to kick on and start to be the team of old. And, you know, I'm sure it haunts all of us, those seasons where we'd end up a point behind and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, Arsenal are the ones that are properly challenging us. Like you said, City started bad. I can imagine that they'll still have games like that this season. A draw is the result that you want. It might end up like a 0-0, you know, but when you're imagining Haaland on the pitch, but like you've said, Arsenal is so good defensively that I just don't know how it's going to go. We'll be good to sit back and watch, but if we've lost the derby or we draw in the derby, I'll be sat there, hands on my head, just hating, just hoping that they all get sent off and the game gets abandoned.
Who do you think will win it? Or do you think it'll be, you can say draw?
I think City will win it.
That'd be a big to go to the Etihad and win would be massive for City.
Do.
But you are right, Haaland is back in goal scoring.
I think Arsenal can crack under pressure sometimes.
I don't think there's a way where Arsenal lose the game.
Do you think?
No, I think Arsenal. Yeah, I think if Arteta learns from his mistakes and goes more attacking, I think Arsenal will bury them by a couple of goals, maybe 3-1, 4-1, something like that.
Really, yeah?
Yeah, I do. I just think they've got the strongest squad, and then also like City playing Thursday, Sunday is absolutely ridiculous. By the way, especially when Arsenal played on Tuesday. I just think that's a joke. But
yeah, true.
It's one of them. If Arteta lines up with 4 centre-halves playing full-back and, you know, tries to draw at home to Man City, that's going to be really telling of where he thinks they are as a squad. Yeah. So I think he's really got to go out and put a statement win in there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I do think it'll be a draw. And I think that, fingers crossed, that works out for everyone. The other games, for what it's worth, of note, Chelsea, Man United, just for the vibes, it will be fun. Because Man United are terrible. Like, he could lose his job. There's a genuine chance, Abby. If they lose at home at R5 on Saturday night to Chelsea, I think there's a very good chance he goes, that fella.
All the statements coming out are saying he's got 3 more games left to prove himself. But
what's
the point in leaving 3 more games? But I don't want them to sack him, keep him. Yeah. Stay as bad as possible. Or go and get Southgate. I'd absolutely love that. That'd be hilarious if they end
the next 3 games, by the way, 2 of them are Chelsea and Liverpool.
Yeah.
One Sunderland, that if he loses that, he'll get sacked anyway. But yeah, it is. I've liked the look of Chelsea a lot. I know they had the iffy result the other day against Brentford.
They've just lost against Bayern Munich.
But they got goals in their team. And Man United don't look like a team who've got goals in their team. Mm-hmm. I know what Chelsea are losing or they're drawing, but they're scoring 2s or 1s and 2s, really. I know Cole Palmer's been unlucky when his one was ruled out, but it just feels like I can't see a world where United outscored this Chelsea team at the moment.
No, I can't either. I've been a big fan of Chelsea on this show, especially in sort of saying they just look really fluid when they're attacking, and they've sort of quite a few like-for-like wingers.
Especially with Palmer being back.
Yeah, especially with Palmer in the 10, but also João Pedro leading the lines had a brilliant start to the season. Someone I think we should have got. I would love to have him. He's just proper Bobby Firmino, isn't he? Yeah. But it's one of them. I think it's one. If they play the occasion, I think we've seen this a few times, especially with Chelsea United over the last couple of seasons. If you play the occasion and it's a big game, United often turn up. So I wouldn't be surprised if United come in and maybe scrape out of there with a result of sort of like a 0-0, 1-1, something like that. But with the 4 of them going forward and thinking back to West Ham when they play West Ham opening game was at second week Chelsea.
They battered them at second game. They drew the first game, didn't they?
And so it must have been second week. They looked brilliant there. I think it was the night game, wasn't it? It was the evening game, and they looked absolutely boss. Just so fluid. Balls coming in, all 4 of them committing forward. If they've got a 4, obviously be versus 5, sort of in that 5 back with the wing backs tucking in. I think they can open them up and cause a lot of trouble there. So.
I agree. I would agree. The only other one, but Brighton Tottenham will be a good game, by the way. But we've got to give Bournemouth the credit. Like Bournemouth, listen, if Liverpool lose and Bournemouth win, they're on equal points. Bournemouth had a fantastic start to the season as well. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Right then, let us know. I'm going to get the guys' score predictions. I'll read a few of yours out before we head off as well. So back to the derby then. Abi, come on, how's it going to go? What are we thinking?
3-1 Liverpool win. I think Grealish will score first. And then I think Isak Isak 2, and I think Salah will get 1.
Ooh,
hopeful thinking.
I mean, we should just say 95th minute winner. That's what the odds are suggesting that is going to happen.
I reckon 2-1, 95th minute winner. That's me all day. And that's all it's got to be, on it. I don't know what. I don't even care who gets it. Like, honestly, just as long as we win the game, that's it. I'll tell you what, there's been some surprise scorers recently, like Virgil van Dijk winning the game late on. That's a boss. Rio Engamoa. It could be absolutely any of them who gets the winner for me.
Are you genuinely think like another late one?
Yeah, let's go for it. Why not?
No, listen,
that'd be ridiculous if it happens again. Their heads would fall off.
It's been done.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been done by us all season. It's been done by us against them numerous times. Sadio, Divock. Mm-hmm. Yeah, can we get another one? He mentioned Andy Carroll earlier. It's been done, late winners against Everton. Fingers crossed he can do it again. I think we'll win 2-0. But I think that second goal is late.
You know, just wraps it up late.
Yeah, like late. Again, like 88 onward, do you know what I mean? Where it's similar to the last game, really, where we won 1-0. Obviously, it's just that second one didn't come. A similar game, I think it should be tight. I think Everton are in good nick, but I back us to score against everybody. I'd be shocked if we don't. Yeah. You know what I mean? Even if it takes 99, 100 minutes, I think Liverpool will get the job done. So yeah, I'm going to go 2-0. Sai thinks 3-0. Stuart says, basically Vader says 4-0 with Joe Gomez bicycle kick. That would be the best.
20 yards out.
A Joe Gomez late winner would be the best of all time. Bugsy's going, where's Joe Gomez even getting on the pitch? Fair enough. Roy Hodgson, I don't think it's the same one. It might be. Hello, Roy. Says, I'd love a stress-free 2-0. 2-0. Yeah, that would be great. I would love that as well. Fingers crossed, yeah, little... Stuart says 96 minute by Origi. He doesn't play for us anymore. Maybe Pickford can chuck one in. Yeah, Josh thinks 2-1 as well, so he's going similar to you, Luke. Right then, thanks very much everyone for watching or listening to the show. Just let you know, this weekend we will have to watch along. I mean, it's stupidly early. We'll be live at 11:10 in the studio. So I know you guys over on, especially on the west coast of America, this kickoff time does use no favours. It's like 4:30 a.m. or something absolutely ridiculous over there. So if you want to get up, put the coffee on and come and join me and Errol wherever you are watching the game. If you're not lucky enough to have a ticket, we will be live on the watch along. We'll have loads of post-game content as well, hopefully. As Liverpool win the game, we'll have stuff from the ground with the likes of Chloe, Chris and Paul. Me and Errol will be here in the studio with the post-game stuff as well, whether that's on the YouTube channel or on Redmen Plus as well. So thanks very much, Abi and Luke. Thanks very much for coming in. And yeah, catch us all on Saturday morning. See you there.